Introduction to Among the Forest People. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Claire. Among the Forest People by Clara Dillingham Pierson. To the Children. Dear little friends, since I told my stories of the meadow people a year ago, so many children have been asking me questions about them that I thought it might be well to send you a letter with these tales of the forest folk. I have been asked if I am acquainted with the little creatures about whom I tell you, and I want you to know that I am very well acquainted indeed. Perhaps the groundhog is my oldest friend among the forest people, just as the tree frog is among those of the meadow. Some of the things about which I shall tell you I have seen for myself, and the other stories have come to me in another way. I was there when the swaggering crow drove the hens off the barnyard fence, and I was quite as much worried about the mourning dove's nest as were Mrs. Goldfinch and Mrs. Oriole. I have had a letter from one little boy who wants to know if the meadow people really talk to each other. Of course they do, and so do all the people in these stories. They do not talk in the same way as you and I, but they have their own language, which they understand just as well as we do English. You know, not even all children speak alike. If you and I were to meet early some sunshiny day, we would say to each other, "Good morning." But if a little German boy should join us, he would say, "Guten Morgen," and a tiny French maiden would call out, "Bonjour," when she meant the same thing. These stories had to be written in the English language, so that you could understand. If I were to tell them in the woodpecker, the rabbit, or the rattlesnake language, all of which are understood in the forest, they might be very fine stories, but I am afraid you would not know exactly what they meant. I hope you will enjoy hearing about my forest friends. They are delightful people to know, and you must get acquainted with them as soon as you can. I should like to have you in little chairs just opposite my own and talk of these things quite as we used to in my kindergarten, but that cannot be, so I have written you this letter, and think that perhaps some of you will write to me, telling which story you like best and why you like it. Your friend, Clara Dillingham Pierson. Stanton, Michigan, April 15th, 1898. End of introduction. Recording by Claire. Chapter 1 of Among the Forest People by Clara Dillingham Pierson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Claire. Mr. Red Squirrel comes to live in the forest. Life in the forest is very different from life in the meadow, and the forest people have many ways of doing which are not known in the world outside. They are a quiet people, and do not often talk or sing when there are strangers near. You could never get acquainted with them until you had learned to be quiet also, and to walk through the underbrush without snapping twigs at every step. Then, if you were to live among them and speak their language, you would find that there are things about which it is not polite to talk, and there is a reason for all this. In the meadow, although they have their quarrels and their own troubles, they always make it up again and are friendly. But in the forest there are some people who can never get along well together, and who do not go to the same parties or call upon each other. It is not because they are cross or selfish or bad. It is just because of the way in which they have to live and hunt, and they cannot help it any more than you could help having eyes of a certain color. These are things which are all understood in the forest, and the people there are careful what they say and do, so they get on very well indeed, and have many happy times in that quiet, dusky place. When people are born there, they learn these things without thinking about it, but when they come there from some other place it is very hard, for everybody thinks it stupid in strangers to ask about such simple matters. When Mr. Red Squirrel first came to the forest, he knew nothing of the way in which they do, and he afterward said that learning forest manners was even harder than running away from his old home. You see, Mr. Red Squirrel was born in the forest, but was carried away from there when he was only a baby. From that time until he was grown, he had never set claw upon a tree, and all he could see of the world he had seen by peeping through the bars of a cage. His cousins in the forest learned to frisk along the fence tops and to jump from one swaying branch to another, but when this poor little fellow longed for a scamper, he could only run down and around in a wire wheel that hummed as it turned, and this made him very dizzy. He used to wonder if there were nothing better in life, for he had been taken from his woodland home when he was too young to remember about it. One day he saw another squirrel outside, a dainty little one, who looked as though she had never a sad thought. That made him care more than ever to be free, and when he curled down in his cotton nest at night,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?